Hey, how you doing? This is John, and welcome to John's Long Box. I'm here with T-Bunny, and this is an irregular series that we do every once in a while called Theology. And I'm going through, my wife went through a Christian awakening months and months ago, and I don't know what I'm going through, but I'm asking a lot of questions that I probably haven't asked since I was in my 20s. And, Cooper's been kind enough to be the guy that I bounce ideas off. Sometimes he doesn't like what I have to say, but he's still here. And that's what matters. So how you doing, Cooper? How's everything?
I'm doing fine, my friend.
I like that microphone. I got to get myself a microphone. Maybe if it sounds good. How much was that? If you don't mind.
It was like a microphone boom mic kit from Big Best Buy. It's like an all-in-one kit.
Okay, how like $100 around, say, or
I think it was around $250, $275, something like that.
Because I bought a Blue Yeti mic. Everybody said they get Blue Yeti mic. And
this is a Yeti. Yeah,
I got one, and it was just like right here, and all it did was I made my voice sound like static. And literally in the middle of his, I just threw it in the garbage. So that was my foray into mics. Let's get the hellos out of the way. First off, we got a preview of Community Service Preambles. That's your comic book that you're working on. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, it's the first book of the series. It's the first book of the arc. There's three book arc. This is basically a sample comic of the first book, which is supposed to come out either early next year or later this year, depending on a few things out of my control. But
tell me about it.
Yeah. But it's getting the first the absolute first comic is like it's such a balancing act, and I'm taking
anything
the time
that
to make
go
sure.
wrong will go wrong.
Oh yeah. And plus,
you have to pay to read it. We got a question.
No, you do not. You do not have to pay to read it. It's also got a free full comic that I did. It was a public domain, the very first Ghost Rider, which is Rex Fury. It's in the Ted Holt magazine back in the 1920, 29 or something, 30, something like that. But it's best actually very popular comic for its day. Frazetta did his first work in the industry, comic industry, was covers. Yeah,
cool.
It's got Frazetta covers. Yeah,
cool. Big Frazetta fan.
Yeah.
I got a blessing from Zach Tan, so we could proceed.
Hello.
And Daniel P. Riley crawls from beneath the book pile for Theology. If anybody has anything that they really want to add, and you're respectful, and you have a camera on, because people having a camera cuts out the shenanigans. I'll put it in an open invite. I'll put in a link in a little bit. But Daniel, were you the one that was on the? I know you've been on my channel before, but were you on A Drink with Crazy when they played the name game? Am I misremembering? Because that was a lot of fun. I did a response to that, and I did my versions of the same guys you did. Yeah. I really enjoyed that. That was a lot of fun.
That's probably was Daniel. He's A Drink with Crazy's
Daniel. I tried to get I don't know his name. I just call him A Drink. I tried to get him on my channel, but we just couldn't work out with
Royce. His name is Royce.
Royce. That was a lot of fun. Prayers for a fruitful discussion. Great stream. Thank you. And Abrax is here. And he says, he can't wait to read your comic, Bunny.
Hey, I hope you enjoy it. You'll like the cover. The cover's really cool.
Cool. So I forget what inspired this exactly, but
probably has something to do with Charlie Kirk, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, first off, I didn't know who Charlie Kirk was until he died. I'm not going to be one of these people.
A lot of people didn't. Yeah.
I've seen him around, and I've seen his clips. And I just associated him with Steve Crowder, who I don't particularly like.
Which is funny. I don't know why you associated
because Crowder was in there. I'm going to do this, change my mind. Like, he was very aggressive about it. And then I would see him at a table, and I just thought he was just doing the same old stunts.
Well, Steven Crowder had to abandon it because of security concerns, and which he has a lot of guilt because he didn't really tell Charlie about how scary things have gotten when he quit. Um, but Charlie took it up because Charlie had been doing uh, he's doing something very similar to college campuses. He's been doing
Right.
these debates since he was 18 years old.
Well, since he died, my wife has been sending me some of her favorite clips, and
Yeah,
I went from not really having an opinion about an assumption, I'll guess,
yeah,
to,
right.
to respecting and liking the guy. But like, I also don't
Well,
want to say, oh, I always like, how like when Kurt Cobain.
I mean, that's the thing. Is when the king or when a tyrant dies, his power ends. But when the martyr dies, his power begins.
Right.
And there's a lot of people discovering Charlie that didn't had no idea.
Me being one of them, and
Me be also being one of them. I had not really watched him that much, but I've watched a ton since. So
there was a couple of clips that really, really open, not open my eyes, because he was already saying stuff that I already believed, but really,
like, he had a way of saying things that really crystallized. Really crystallized.
As you can see, I not have a way with words, but he would formulate thoughts that I had in a succinct, easily presentable manner, like effortlessly, like in the midst of controversy, in the midst of not controversy, in the midst of confrontation. Really difficult. Like, I'll talk about an X-Men comic that I've read 9,000 times. Then on a stream, somebody will ask me a question and I can't remember Nightcrawler's secret identity. but this guy could come up with the whole logical syllogisms of everything with statistics.
Kurt Warner, right?
Yeah, Kurt Wagner.
Wagner,
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But so I, like I said, but
Warner's a quarterback. Kurt Warner's a quarterback.
Yes. Since even before he died, I've been amazed. Now, like, is this selection biased? Now, this is really the gist of my question. Is this selection biased, or is the United States, because I can't speak for Europe or anything like that, is the United States is the tide turning? Because it's since I've been aware, and when I say aware, I'm talking maybe 16, 17 years old, because before that, your only concerns are yourself. Since I started putting my senses outward, it's been secular humanism, and and myself too. Like I said, at first I was a arrogant evangelical atheist. Then I became like a laissez-faire atheist, and then I've always been interested in religion, and right now I've been delving into lots of interesting things, lots of rabbit holes. I'd like to talk to you about heresies and stuff like that one day, Cooper. That'll be funny. And I'm wondering, is it selection bias, or is the United States turning the tide? Is Christianity on the rise?
Well, okay. It's just going to take a little bit of time.
Yeah, I talked enough. You go ahead.
Okay. All right. So basically, what happened with the culture was that there's a big influx of communism into the education system, and it based on Brezhnev in the 80s gave the whole entire plan away, but the way communism comes in is it basically affects the educational institutions first, and then raises up an army of young people to infiltrate the rest of society and all the layers, and
the slow march through the institutions.
Exactly. And the first thing that has to go is Christianity. And the same thing happened in Russia. Russia went from a primarily Christian nation to communism in 2 generations. Eastern Orthodox was the main religion in Russia. But what happened basically in America is that Russia was not based on Christianity. America was. America's by its founding, it was a Christian nation. And so what happens is that as the encroachment of communism kept moving forward, they started pushing stuff out, and the church, rather than especially, I think the last big pushback was the McCarthy, was Joseph McCarthy.
Yeah,
But
another person who's totally vindicated in my mind.
But there was dual moves. McCarthy was in Washington, but there was a group in Hollywood that was also fighting the good fight. John Wayne and Walt Disney were both part of that group. And what happened?
Is that why? Is that why they started all these rumors that Walt Disney was a Nazi?
Exactly. Yeah.
Man, you just crossed a T for me. That always okay. All right.
There's a good video by Razor Fist that's called "Hollywood Was Always Red" that explains it better. But what happened basically was they lost because by the time that they started fighting back, all of this stuff was the people that were basically the power brokers had already been corrupted, and so what they were doing, they won the argument, but they didn't win the war. And so there was a Jesus movement about this time, movement towards Christianity for the younger people. But it basically, all it did was pack the churches, but it didn't impact the culture. And so that's where a lot of these mega churches started. The whole Calvary Chapel thing started during the Jesus movement. But it left the churches, yeah. But basically what happened was the two things started moving apart. And what's caused the change back? I mean, when you look at, especially the Department of Education, PBS, and things like that, they really went hard on child education. I mean, when I grew up in the 70s, I was hearing anti-American stuff, and I was already hearing altered history, like the stuff about slavery and stuff like that. That was in the 70s, but then Department of Education centralized everything and made it even easier. But what happened round about the early to mid 2000s, a man showed up called Andrew Breitbart. Andrew Breitbart was of the elite in California. He was pretty much a Nepo baby, but he lived among these elites, and he knew what they thought, and he knew the way they think, and he was highly educated like they were. But he realized that the way that they were heading was right into the ditch. And so he started fighting back. And he was the first one to say that politics is upstream from culture, because everybody up to that point had thought that politics was in and of itself like the mover of culture. But Andrew Breitbart called it. And he and Rush Limbaugh at one point were the only two voices that were pushing back. The first big pushback came through the Tea Party movement. But then the Tea Party movement got corrupted after Andrew Breitbart died, and he wasn't there to shepherd it.
I thought it got like just propaganda to the point people didn't want to be, like I remember when the term alt-right came up. I remember the beginnings of alt-right, and I was like, that kind of explains me, because I don't fit in with the right as far as like the Newt Gingriches and stuff like that. I said, but I am conservative. I'm a little bit more socially liberal.
Well, they were destroyed by two forces. They were destroyed by mainstream media, and they were destroyed by the Rhino Republicans.
Right. Like I definitely think people started to identify them with them, like and then like the Proud Boys came out, who really didn't do anything wrong, and then they just be like, oh, look at them, they're alt-right, they're Nazis, blah blah blah. And it was, in my lifetime, it was the first time that I've just seen propaganda just throw out bullshit, for lack of a better term, and it stuck to the point nobody wants to be called alt-right anymore.
Right.
Like that was, you might as well be called racist or homophobe or whatever. And it's funny because people still don't want to be called alt-right.
Right.
But people now are just like, you want to call me a racist? I don't care anymore. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Well, what happened was because of the mainstream media and the feckless Republican Party And then in comes Obama, and anybody that spoke out against Obama was immediately castigated.
Right.
And so what happened was conservatism. Yeah, there you go. But what happened? Conservatism went underground, and when things go, there's a recitation that I love where he was talking about Christianity only gets stronger when it goes underground, kind of like the river gets stronger when it pushes through the rock or when it's under the rock, right? And what happened was that burst into the public consciousness in 2016 because none of them saw it coming. None of their polls reflected it because all the people kept their mouths shut. But when Donald Trump showed up and he started saying exactly what everybody was thinking,
right,
then
I work in New York City, with everybody's leftist, and and everybody just kept their mouths shut. But when Trump came out, it was like people would just like. Mm-hmm. Like the only way I could describe it humorously is, you ever watch the Monty Python and the Meaning of Life, when they're like, we're going to go marching up and down the square, and everybody, and then like, anybody got anything better? The guy's like, I'd like to go read my book, and, and then one by one, that's the way it was. Everybody's like, but I kind of like what Trump's saying. It was just understood that.
Well, the media, because they had complete control of the media, they had complete control of the institutions, complete control of television and Hollywood and everything.
Right.
And so when Trump popped up as president and showed that there was this movement that they didn't know existed, this big move of most of America, they lost their freaking minds. Okay. And so because they had control of the institution, they tried to use the institutional power, like the press and all of media.
Rat, that's when the cornered rat fights. There was no need to fight when you had all the power.
Well, the thing about it is they basically tried to put it back in the box by. That's when all our media shifted left, and that's when press went nonstop, full court press, anti-Trump, TDS. And they thought that basically they could put it back in the box. They could force it back in the box. And there you go. Right. But what happened, though, is a young man named Charlie Kirk shows up around this time. And Charlie Kirk just showed up at RNC, didn't have any connections, didn't know what he was doing. You see there's a testimony out there, several ones. But he showed up and he ran across this billionaire named Frederick Fries or something like that. His last name was Fries, and he was a conservative billionaire, and he ran into him in the stairwell and gave him the pitch for Turning Point, and he wrote him a $10,000 check right there because he saw something in Charlie. And what Charlie understood and nobody else did at that time was that the youth were sick and tired of secular humanism. Even though they've been indoctrinated by it, and even though they were sick with it, and even though it was pretty much destroying their lives, he understood that what they really wanted was purpose.
Right. I think about it's. I'm tying it into comic books because that's my thing.
Go ahead.
But I was thinking of like an immortal villain. Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm not going to mention names. I might use this character at some point, but this character is cursed or blessed, whatever, with immortality.
Yeah.
And what does he do with it? And it's funny because as I'm thinking about this character and plotting this character, he starts out as a piece of crap. But after a century, 100 years of doing whatever, eventually he's just like, he becomes a good guy because boredom brings like contempt to himself and worthlessness, and he has sooner or later, it's like this character will have a crisis of conscience, and then just start helping people. Like, I'm so bored, I'm actually going to help. Oh, I like this kind of thing. And it's funny because I kept trying to get away from that. No. And if he's immortal and he's just going to wallow in heat. And I don't know if it reveals something about me or human nature itself. But I do think that like how many girls like they party it up and then like not I'm not happy. I'm just you see all these 40-year-old women who are just like going to work every day and I come home to an empty house. It's just not fulfilling.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, he understood before anybody else did, because he was from that generation, was that the generation that was coming up was not buying it. And I mean, Gen X was pretty much like that. Gen X was the first generation that they tried to indoctrinate. And that's why a lot of Gen X are cynical. That's why a lot of Gen X doesn't trust anybody or trust the government or trust any institutions. But Gen Z is very much like Gen X. But he understood that. He understood that this generation was basically not buying it. And so he was the first one that gave them permission to be open about it. And so what happened was Trump basically around 2020, when the last gasp of the institutional power, the last gasp of like the boomer generation and all that institutional power they had, and they used it to seize control during COVID, whatever letter it was, number 19 or whatever. But when they seized control,
it was COVID-2 electric boogaloo.
There you go. Right.
People are going back outside. Got to scare them back into the houses again.
Yeah. But they
a funny little aside. I was working on the George Washington Bridge, and there was this. There was this little woman that was the safety person, and she would just walk up and down the bridge with this mask on. And for once, I'm like, the mask didn't bother me because there's just diesel fuel in your face. You know what I mean? So it's like we were wearing masks because we chose to, because cars driving by and the black smoke and everything like that. But she's walking around with the mask on, and she had there's four of us, and we all, you know what I mean? So she just bored walking up and down. She would just listen to the radio, and they just announced the Omicron variant.
Oh.
And she took off the headphones and screamed, "There's an Omicron variant," and literally ran.
On the
freaking bridge, wind blowing in every direction, cars with, it's like, God bless you. Go get oxygen, go home. But anyway, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
You can tell it was them because they shut down the churches and they left the liquor.
They shut down the churches, but not the Black Lives Matter riots.
Nope, not. Yep, and they left like liquor stores and dispensaries and stuff like that open. And so
there was two things that. Well, first off, I was scared during COVID when they first announced it. I was like, you know what? This plagues all the time throughout human history. I'm a student of history.
Right.
This could be one of those times. So I didn't know any better. This is really the first time I heard this.
Yeah.
They say we're going home for 2 weeks. We're going to lock down for 2 weeks to flatten the curve.
Right.
I was like, I'm stocking up on my wife ordered MREs.
Yeah.
And then I went and got a whole bunch of ammo.
Right.
And then we went back to work. And then as I'm watching this, I'm noticing that all these press conferences, there's hundreds of people at these press conferences, but I can't go to church. I can't go to the gym. So I started realizing
the riots didn't have masks either, did they?
And then Black Lives Matter. Oh, it's just because the Tea Party or whatever, or these Trump rallies were super spreader events.
Right.
Black Lives Matter. Oh, that's worth the risk.
Mostly peaceful. Mostly peaceful.
Remember. And the George Floyd riots were perfectly
mostly
acceptable.
peaceful. Yeah. There you go.
And then all of a sudden they rushed out a vaccine that we all had, and I was like,
yeah,
this is bad. This, like, I knew it was all. And then the final defining moment is when they said it's from a bat in Wuhan, China.
Yeah, right.
And I said, oh, good, because again, at this point, I still kind of there was a little. I could still believe this. So I said, okay. Now I've seen the Dustin Hoffman movie. They're going to send in the guys into the caves with those freaking suits, and they're going to isolate this bat. They're going to get this virus. They never did any of that.
No.
And then I look up, wow, what an odd coincidence that Wuhan it was their coronavirus lab.
Yeah.
You know, but that's when I was just like, this is all nonsense. This is all nonsense.
Yeah.
You know, so and I think you're right. I think people started like, okay, I don't trust the government because we were this whole generation. And I'm sorry that I started talking, but this is one of the topics. This COVID nonsense is just one of my hot things. But we were raised to trust the government.
Yeah.
And I have that personality where if you tell me, John, you're going to like this. I'm like, no,
you're Gen X. You're Gen X.
Right. But even a lot of people in my peer group, they're just like, yeah, U2 is the best band in the world. I'm like, I never liked, I never liked U2. And Bruce Springsteen is the best. I don't like Bruce. Why? You told me I have to like Bruce Springsteen. So I never liked the.
You ain't my boss.
Yeah, he ain't my boss. and then like the same with COVID, I immediately didn't trust it. But like, I started to see other people just be like, I don't trust the government anymore.
Right. Yeah.
And I think with this rise of secular humanism, we human beings, now I don't want to, if I offend anybody, that's not the intent. This is just me honestly exploring my thoughts. But I think we are hardwired to believe in things, to have faith. We are social animals. We, that's why solitary confinement is the worst punishment of all, and we need to connect. And part of this is like a national identity or a group identity. That's why the other is such a bad, like when you're a racist istophobe, you are literally being cast out. You're other. That's why the X-Men were so popular, because they were the other that were, defined the group, and they were the misfits that fitted. We have this, and Christianity was one of those things that was a binding force. Religion, I'm sure if you're in Iraq, you're Sunni or Shiite. I forget which one, but your religion, your faith, was part of your identity group. And that identity group, we were told not to trust it. It's all bullshit. All the priests are molesting people, but nobody makes jokes about all these teachers molesting kids. I mean, I literally haven't seen the newscast about a priest molesting a kid. But every day I'm seeing reports of teachers molesting kids and raping kids. Yeah. But we still don't attack the Department of Education the way they still attack the church for something that was kind of done with 20 years ago. But anyway, I digress. So we got this religion thing out of the way. We are kind of eroding this concept of nationalism and patriotism to our country.
Yeah.
They're more successful in England, but what we did was we identified with the government, not America, not the Constitution, but this expanding bureaucracy. And I think COVID got people to not trust this bureaucrat 1984. And I think people are starting to take that identity thing and putting it back on Christianity.
Well, the thing that I think COVID did, and the thing that really broke the hold of the mainstream culture, the overlord, basically. We got to see the view of it, because we started seeing like the WEF says something, and suddenly the news is parroting it, and then policies coming down.
You're hitting all my hot spots tonight, Cooper.
Yeah. Well, what we got to see the COVID really displayed just how in cahoots all of it was, and especially the media, when we saw the true shape of the media, because they would say Trump was this, that, and the other thing, and we would see Trump do stuff like he closed the border up. The physical policy was very solid, and we saw we went to the pump and we saw our prices dropping at the pump. And then they're like, well, he's this, and this, that, and the other thing. He's second coming of the guy with the mustache in World War II. But then he would do stuff like, he would bring that lady to the White House, that black lady, and give her pardon, and actually make her his ambassador for the program of helping people out. And then he did the whole thing with the urban development, and you saw these stuff that he was doing that was completely antithetical to what they were saying. But then then they were trying, and the thing that really broke the camel's back, I think, is 2:00 in the morning, the 2020 election. That's what really broke the camel's back.
Oh my God. I remember I was sitting in my apartment in Queens watching it on a TV.
Mm-hmm.
And my buddy Paul calls me up and he goes, "Congratulations, man. We got rid of, Trump is the president." I said, "Yeah, I think I've been staying up too late. I got to go to bed."
Mm-hmm.
Because it was 3/4. It was a landslide for Trump. And then I wake up in the morning and Biden is president. I'm like,
yep.
What? It was like,
well, when I saw them tell everybody to go home at like 11 o'clock at night, and it's like, okay, well, just everybody go home. And he sent everybody home, and I was like, something's up.
Right. Who made the call to stop counting? 5 states.
Exactly. They all stopped counting. They all stopped
every
counting.
time I asked that question, everybody told me I was a conspiracy theorist. And my answer is yes, I am a conspiracy theorist, but that's not
Biden said everybody go home, and suddenly they stopped counting. Those 5 states stopped counting. And then 2:00 in the morning, the vote total went through the roof. And then they're like, well, don't believe your lying eyes.
Right.
But everybody could see it. I mean, there's even a T-shirt that shows that. I mean, it's so abrupt. It's almost straight up the vote count that happened at 2:00 in the morning.
Right now, some conservative Trump supporters bought Dominion voting machines.
Yeah.
Now we don't want Dominion voting machines. Oh, but they're secure. Didn't you guys tell us that these things were tamper-proof, that they were the perfect, most wonderful, blessed things ever, and now all of a sudden you don't want them anymore? Why is that?
Yeah.
And, yeah. Also, somebody there was a great comment here. Okay, Zach Tan over here said the woke also helped start the awakening because they would invade the entertainment spaces that would normally distract from people from politics, and they politicized it. Yeah. Absolutely. I don't know how many normies, my regular friends, that just got tired. Like I got buddies that like, I'm not watching NFL anymore.
Yeah.
I watch football to get away from the nagging wife, the pain in the ass job, the kids that are driving them crazy, the bills and stuff, and they're just gonna have this visceral football feeling, and now they're being preached to. So,
well, The Last Jedi. When people saw The Last Jedi, there was this like, oh shit, what just happened? And that was an awakening moment for a lot of people. But see, what happened was ESG money came in, the environmental social governance stuff came in, and suddenly it was like, we're going to subsidize the culture so you can ignore this whole entire side of society, and we want you to indoctrinate that younger generation that we're
social engineering.
Social engineering. And the problem is Gen X, who have basically been, who are pop culture subsidized. I mean, the Gen X was asleep because we'd always had the best pop culture. And so we all, I mean, look behind you. I mean, look behind you, right? And look behind me. I mean, Gen X is the pop
culture. In front
of
me, all my records and everything too.
Exactly. The pop culture generation, and they took the pablum away from us. They took our pacifier. They took the thing that kept us away from the culture, away from politics, that kept us asleep. Then the sleeper has awakened, and suddenly Gen X is remembering all the distrust we had for everything, and when they took it, they took away the only things that kept us like inactive and kept us. I mean, the boomers basically controlled the society because Gen X went to sleep. The next generation that had was just basically inundated with all this awesome pop culture, and it kept us numb. It kept us out of the culture. It kept us
Happy
quiet.
birthday, what geeks do. Happy birthday,
There
20
you go.
minutes.
Hey, hey.
20. Oh, 47, he's turning 20. Jeez, I
Oh
wish.
man, goodness. but the thing about it is, though, is that was the biggest miscalculation, because Gen X is the core of MAGA. Gen X is the heart and soul of MAGA, and what happened was Charlie Kirk connected Gen X with Gen Z. He was bridged Gen X from Gen Z, because he was a kid who thought and acted and operated more like a Gen Xer than he did like he like any other generation. But yeah, he could talk to Gen Z, and he bridged the gap.
Right.
And so suddenly these two generations separated by the millennial, they started commiserating. And suddenly you had like this very powerful group of people who had been completely out of politics and not really like involved in culture in general. And suddenly you start screwing with their kids, and you start screwing with their pop culture, and you started screwing with everything that made their lives tolerable, and you just activated them.
I mean, I've always been a suspicious person. I've always been a cynical person.
Yeah.
I've never been one to follow the crowd. Like if peer pressure worked on me, I wouldn't have been a comic book D&D kid. I would have been
there you go,
doing sports and smoking cigarettes like everybody else in my school. So I just remember watching commercials, and to the point my wife would get mad at me. I'd be like, "Oh, look at this poor dumb husband.
Yeah,
look at this
exactly.
poor husband can't open up the garage. Oh, look,
exactly. Yeah,
and then the wife rolls the eyes. I mean, like sitcoms, like I would just like, I can't watch a sitcom anymore. Like the one sitcom that I thought was a breath of fresh air was Malcolm in the Middle.
There you go.
Because the parents loved each other.
Right.
Yeah, they fought. Yeah, she was a kind of, but she never really belittled him. He never belittled her. Like, it was almost like the parents against the kids.
Yeah.
And I like I'm getting beside my point, but the point being is, after a while, I started to notice at family gatherings that, even because I'm the freaky political guy, everybody else in my family is super lefty. Even they started being like, yeah, the white dad is always the jerk in the TV shows. I'm like, it's happening. It's finally happening.
Right.
But they still voted for Biden. They voted for Kamala Harris. I'm like, at work, I just remember one of the guys, he was like, Yellow, we got to do something. What? I said, what do the Democrats have to offer us?
Yeah, exactly.
I said, what do you want to be replaced by Indian HB1 visas and you could become transgender and pay higher taxes? That's literally their entire platform. He goes, yeah, but they're pro-union. I said, we could change that tomorrow. I said, it's not that the Republicans hate unions. It's just that the unions give all their money to the Democrats.
Yeah.
Instead of shooting the money cannon this way, you shoot the money cannon that way. And tomorrow, all the Republicans
and that's what happened. That's pretty much what happened.
So
but
I said, you hate all of the Democrats' policies except for unions. Well, just give them the money. I said, what do you think? Republicans are that ethical that they could be like, no, we're going to stick to our policies and still screw the unions because they don't like the unions because the unions want to put the Republicans out of work.
Yeah.
It's just like we don't like the illegal aliens because the illegal aliens want to steal our jobs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So take the money cannon, shoot it this direction. Now the Republicans are on our side, and we got all of the things that you pretend that you want.
Right.
But you're too indoctrinated, Jimmy Palmiotti, with these leftist politics, who packed up and moves to red state Florida.
Well, there's a reason why all of the people protesting right now are either nut, Portland nut jobs or old white boomers. That's who's protesting right now.
Well, and yeah, they're older and older people because they just watch CNN and whatever. And now that USA, like as of today, I think I read the article correctly. It's completely defunct. It's gone. It's vapor. It no longer exists. It's been nuked from orbit. So I'm thinking all that money, and what a coincidence! Not one of those dollars went to any Republican. How did the So I'm mad at you, Republicans. How did you let this happen on your watch? What were you doing? You were getting paid off.
Yeah, that's what happened. That was what's happening. Yeah. Well, the really interesting thing, and this is something that I just realized.
Every union, I know for a fact that my union, the rank and file, 55% of the people voted for Trump. Every other union is pro-Trump except my union.
Yeah.
And if I was in charge, I would be like, well, it's 55% of my own constituency, my enemy, or is there something we need to discuss?
Exactly. You know,
yeah.
Well, what happened though? This is the really interesting thing that I didn't realize until very recently. Okay. And the reason why America is shifting back to Christianity.
Thank you for getting us back on topic.
Yeah. But the reason why is because leftism became a religion.
Absolutely.
It became a state religion. And you had Obama as its pope. And then you had like the layers of government as like the elders. And then you had like the clergy were the press, and then you had on the lower levels you had like the teachers and people like that.
Right, they were the foot soldiers, the crusaders.
Yeah, and then you had the soldier. Yeah, the foot soldiers were basically like Antifa and BLM and all these other things.
Useful idiots.
Exactly. And so what happened was that this particular state religion is based around death.
It is.
And so Christianity is primarily based around life. And everything, I mean, pro-life is our stance on abortion. Pro-life is pretty much our stance on everything. And so what happens is, are you going to worship death or are you going to worship life?
I know people are going to get mad at this, but I've been saying this for 30 years that the Democrats always side with the higher body count.
Yep.
Always.
Well, the WEF put it out that they want to depopulate the earth, and COVID was obviously and COVID and the vaccine were obviously their tools to do that. And so the mask is off, and people are realizing that they won't be dead.
Remember when Hillary Clinton said abortion should be safe,
legal and rare?
Safe, legal, and rare. Yeah, thank you. I couldn't remember the whole thing. And people people are using abortion as birth control. Nobody's doing that. You see people on TikToks like, with the cake. I'm gonna go have and then I saw, it really churned my stomach, was some transgender person. So a man pretending to be a woman saying, "I wish I could be a woman so I could have an abortion." And I'm like, and I've always even in my hardcore atheist days, I've been anti-abortion. Right. And I remember a couple of religious people like, how can you be? I said, because there's nothing. I said, these DNA combined, and that's it. There is no afterlife. There's nothing. This is the only chance that this life gets, whether it's conceived through rape or incest or an oopsie daisy or whatever, drunken night of passion. This is its only chance of life. I said, at least you religious people could console yourself with saying, "Oh, it goes to the afterlife and becomes one with Christ." I said, but this can't. I said, so to me, it's even more horrifying.
Right.
It's like,
whatever. It's a death of potential.
Right. Good way to put it. And so for years and years, and then I got into this is just me rambling, but you're good like this, Cooper. That's why I like talking to you. I went and I bought a turntable when I was like, I want to get a 70s album because I got myself a nice 70s turntable. I got the big 70s speaker. I said, what's the most 70s band possible? And I was like, Fleetwood Mac. So I got Fleetwood Mac album, Rumors, and I'm listening to Stevie Nicks, and I'm like, oh, this brings me back. This is so good. So then I go on YouTube and I'm listening to Stevie Nicks interviews.
Did you find out what Sarah's about, right?
Oh, I don't even don't ruin another thing. But I don't. But what she said was, thank God for abortion because
Yep.
I had an abortion, and if I had a
Mhm.
kid, there would never have been a Fleetwood Mac.
Mhm.
And I was just like, so basically, thank God for Moloch because I sacrificed my kid for a harvest.
Yep.
And
Mhm.
instantly turned into that. So now
And the child that she aborted was a child with Don Henley.
oh really?
Imagine how talented that kid would have been.
I, it doesn't even matter. It could have been
Mm.
Phil from Muskegon, Illinois. But the point being is, I sacrificed my child for an abundant harvest.
Yeah.
That abundant harvest was 17 more albums of gold.
Right.
I was like, we are not that much more involved from Carthage.
No.
No,
It's Aztecs. They
right,
might as well be the Aztecs, yeah.
right. Like and like,
And which, oh, by the way, Marvel or DC just put out a movie where the Aztecs were the good guys.
right.
Yeah. So did they worship death or did they worship death? They worship death anyway.
Also to alienate some people, I've been reading up on the Roman Empire. They
Mhm.
they were just as bloodthirsty in
Oh,
their
yeah.
Colosseum as the Aztecs.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
and their favorite victim of choice were Christians.
yeah. They were just as bloodthirsty.
Mhm.
At least the Aztecs covered it with the veneer of religion.
Yeah.
The Romans did it purely out of arousal and
Mhm. Blood and circuses. Yep.
circuses. I didn't mean to ignore the comments. I'm looking through the comments now because
Mhm.
some comments are really, really good.
Yeah.
Trump has been pretty good at bridging the gap between Republicans. Yes, that was that's what got me off of my last tirade. I'm a conspiracy guy. Welcome to the club. Join
Mhm.
us.
Yeah.
We are crazy people, and we love it. And I wish I wasn't proven right every 4 months.
Yeah.
I'm a conspiracy guy, so I'm not left or right, but any sane person can see the insanity on the left. I hold a lot of right views, but I'm deep into the conspiracies. Yes.
Mhm.
The trans became twisted versions of holy orders. It's creepy to hear them talk about killing their own selves and dead. Yeah. And what's evil about this is it's basically taken autistic kids. So the number of autism kids is going up. And Robert F. Kennedy is a bad guy for exploring why. Shouldn't
Yeah.
we be wondering why? Even if he's wrong, and I'm not saying he is, even if let's imagine he's wrong, we should be asking these questions. Isn't the left saying we want a dialogue and then they kill the guy who was actually having the dialogue? But anyway, we're finding out that these trans people are like overwhelmingly autistic. So here's people. So first off, you're 12 years old. Your body starts going through changes. Everybody thinks they're different. Everybody thinks they're unique. Everybody thinks that they don't fit in. I don't care who you are. That's why the X-Men are so popular. Everybody thinks that they are the other. And then add autism on that, and then these evil doctors that tell you're born in the wrong body. How are you born in the wrong body? Doesn't that admit the soul?
Mhm.
So what they're saying is your soul is in the wrong body. That is a spiritual belief.
Yeah.
If these people are irreligious like they claim to be, they should be like, well, it's impossible to be born because there is no metaphysical soul.
Mhm.
So how can you be in the wrong body?
Yeah.
And then they sexually mutilate these kids.
Mhm.
These pictures of
And even if they don't sexually mutilate them, they chemically mutilate them.
right. And these
They become the unstable shock troops.
yeah.
All the school shootings, all these murders. I mean, most of them have trans connections somehow.
Yep. I've been following since Columbine.
Yeah.
I've been following all of these school shooters. They're all on these antipsychotic drugs. What did you call them? SSRIs.
SSRIs.
Yeah. SSRIs. I got to remember that. I just been saying antipsychotic drugs.
Yeah.
It's weird how humanism itself became anti-human. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a comic book called Transmetropolitan. Warren Ellis. I know you're probably not a big fan of his, but one of the things that he talked about was like that there was going to be a movement where people surgically altered themselves, and he called it trans.
Ellison has a lot of good points.
Right, and he's
a nut job, and
he's a nut job. He's a creep, but I think he's an excellent comic book writer.
He's an incredible writer. He's an incredible writer. I mean, yeah.
But let's be realistic. Most comic book
City on
writers,
the Edge of Tomorrow? Are you kidding me? Yeah, he's a genius, right?
you don't want them coming to your house. But
No,
I will
I'm
read
not.
that.
I'm not inviting you to dinner, but the guy can write his. The guy can write. Okay.
But that's what he was talking about. How people were going to surgically alter themselves to look like aliens.
Yeah.
And I see these pictures of these 12-year-old girls with no shirt on and these scars and
zipper chest. Yeah.
Oh my God, how could you go through life? And then these poor people who warn people, these poor tricked, deluded kids who got surgically mutilated, and now they're warning other people about it. They are super violent because they're heretics to the religion. Yeah. Arkham Hobbies and Hangout, how you doing? Excellent artist. Working on one of my stories, so I might be a little biased. I'm planning on going back to church after 30 years. Okay, we have one right here. After the world showed how filthy it's gotten, I felt gross. It's nice to see good things not being considered corny anymore.
No.
And don't get me started on the locations of, does anybody watching
Margaret Sanger was a
not anybody not know that she was a Ku Klux Klan member?
Eugenics. She was into eugenics.
That the black race was a weed to be exterminated, and she was Hillary Clinton's role model.
Yep. There really was.
Bloodthirsty and perverted. We got a lot of yeps, hallelujahs in the audience. Yep, but same way they did to Manson, they did it nationally.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you guys ever watch Joey P. Toons? I have no idea who that is.
No idea. But well, the interesting thing though is that the you heard about the like the what is that called? The it's like the brainwashing program that's the CIA. MK Ultra, yeah. MK Ultra is based off of Lenin, V.I. Lenin's takeover of Soviet Union. They basically wanted to figure out how he did that and weaponize it and use his brainwashing techniques. And so basically what MK Ultra was a way to Americanize the communist takeover of USSR. And so ultimately, every time a communist government has, every time a communist party has risen and taken power, there's always been this one intermediate step that we're on the brink of, and that is the younger generation that's been radicalized, that's been brainwashed, suddenly turns violent. And the problem with that working here is that we have the most heavily armed population on the planet. It's not even close.
Yeah, can you imagine if we were disarmed?
If we were disarmed, we would already be saying comrade to each other.
If we were disarmed, you and I would be in a dress.
Exactly. But that's the thing. Also, the fact that this was a primarily Christian culture. It was based on Christianity. It was based on Christian principles. And like John Adams said, it's like the government, the Constitution was basically written to govern a Christian people. And the problem we're having now is the fact that if America is no longer Christian, then our governmental documents no longer fit us.
Well, I've said this so many times. I'm like,
I got that from Charlie, by the way.
I'm sorry?
I got that from Charlie Kirk, by the way.
But America was founded on the concept of individual liberty and free
religious freedom
and freedoms. That is a fundamentally European concept that came out of Greece. Now, of course, Greece was imperfect about it. We've all been imperfect, but this is a Western concept. And it was brought to America by the Pilgrims. Individual rights and personal freedom and responsibility. We never said safety. No. Like that's why people they don't understand. Will you give up your guns? No. Yes, I don't care if it's statistic. Yeah, it is statistically more probable if there's a gun in the house that somebody's going to get hurt by a gun. But the
reason why we had a continental army was the fact that we had an armed population.
Right. But my point being is we don't care about safety. Well, we do care about safety, but freedom is dangerous. It's scary.
Yes.
Now, I remember the first time I was free from my parents. My parents had rules. You know, I went and I got an apartment when I was 19 years old. I lived out in Long Beach, New York. My roommates we were all drinking and smoking pot, and rent was always late, and we were getting ourselves in trouble, but we were free. And we didn't know if we were going to have a place to live week to week, month to month. You know what I mean? But there was no guarantee. And then my idiot roommates were bringing home these strange girls that were stealing stuff. You know what I mean? We had to lock up I had to hide my money under carpets. Oh, we got a guest. I'll bring you up in a second, Arkham. You know what I mean? But that was freedom. Safety would have been staying with my parents.
Right.
You know what I mean? Safety would stay with my parents, but I had rules. You know, my wife and I met my wife when I was, I'll tell this quick story and I'll bring it Arkham. I met my wife when I was 38 years old. Okay. My wife was 35 years old. We were full on adults at this point. I brought her to meet my parents. Guess what?
What?
She slept in a different room.
There
was no question about it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? There was no question. That's the rules of my parents' house. And my wife even said, before I even said anything, she goes, I guess I'm sleeping here, you're sleeping. You know what I mean? Because she understood my parents. You know, that's safety.
Yeah.
That's a little inconvenient that you can't have. And now, just one less. When I see like my friends who allow their daughters to have their boyfriends sleep at all.
Right.
If I slept over my girlfriend's house when I was 16 years old, I would be working like some crap job with, like, you know, resented my wife, you know what I mean, with kids that hated me. You know what I mean? Jeez, have some rules. Rules are good. The Comics Code Authority made the best comic books, ladies and gentlemen. Come on. Rules aren't that bad. And at that point, I will bring up something that's totally bad. Arkham.
Thank you for the intro. I appreciate it.
Welcome.
So, Arkham, you want to introduce yourself? You want to say anything? And then we'll get.
No, I'm actually thoroughly enjoying the conversation. And I love how it just, you know, talking about religion, we ended up talking about it kind of being the Band-Aid of, you know, what America is going through right now. You know, at least not maybe the religion itself, but at least the principles of it are becoming not so passe. You know, people are like I'm old enough now where I'm not going to get offended in church if they say something that I think is hogwash, right? Not the younger me that's going like, oh, this is BS, and walk out, not totally missing the whole point, you know, of the conversation, of the story, you know, over technicalities and that crap. I'm over that, you know, and I'm seeing so many, I guess, religious people, or at least conservative people, seem to be generally happy, right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Even if, and I don't mean that they're farting rainbows, right?
No, they're
But,
just
I mean,
more
they're just
like on a scale.
cordial.
They're 51% more, you know, as opposed to liberals are 49%. You know what I mean? Like, and it's not 1% that makes the difference.
And I'm sorry, when it comes to, say, conservative treating me wrong, it's generally they're snooty. I'm a filthy heathen, or whatever the case you can go. I'd rather deal with that than being called the isk, the phobe, and possibly getting shot or stabbed.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So it's just like, who am I?
My wife was she saw something on Twitter. She's like, oh, so you want right-wing extremists ruling the country? You know, and she was responding to this. And I said, well, ask this person what would happen if right-wing extremists ruled the country. There would be less crime. People would go to church. Lawns would be mowed. Schools would teach facts. You know, less sexual mutilation in children. Like, what do you think?
Let me give you a quote by Richard Dawkins. You know who that is, right?
Yeah, he's the Family Feud guy, right?
He's one of the most famous atheists.
I'm joking.
I know you are. Anyway, But he said that even though I don't believe in God, I want to live in a society that follows Christian principles.
I've
You
always
jumped
believed
ahead.
that as an atheist as well.
You
100%.
you jumped to my conclusion for tonight's talk. Is
Yeah.
I'm not there. I don't know if I'll ever get there, but I'm not where I was.
Right.
But I would rather live in a right-wing Christian country than a secular left-wing crazy place.
Well, see, the worst thing that ever happened to the left is they got everything they ever wanted.
Right.
And we got a good idea. We got to finally see what that
Same
was.
thing happened to feminists. They got everything they wanted and they're crazy and miserable.
Yeah,
Right,
with the
and-
Me Too. Yep.
Well, look at that. And every, I don't want to point fingers, but facts are facts. Every studio where they put these feminist CEOs and producers, they've all turned to shit.
Yeah.
Warner
Every one
Brothers
of them.
just got sold off. Guess
Mm-hmm.
who just lost their job? Mr. Gunn.
Yep.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
James-
I don't know how much of that's actually fact at this point.
I'll
in time.
believe it when I believe it.
Things are moving. There's a lot of things moving. And going from most of the sources I get my stuff from, they're generally pretty accurate.
Mhm.
So I would not doubt this, especially with the season 2 of Peace.
We're getting back to the topic at hand. You're good. You said you went to church for the first time in 30 years.
No, I'm planning on going tomorrow after I hit up the thrift store.
Okay, so let me ask you what prompted, you mentioned that you're an atheist.
Yes.
Are you still an atheist but you want to go to church?
I would never
This
say
is
I was
what this whole
a
topic
true.
is about.
I was never say I was a true atheist, right?
Okay.
I would say I was the term agnostic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even if I didn't believe in Abrahamic God, I always believed that there's too many coincidences within the universe.
Yeah.
Way too many, right? Everything kind of seems a little engineered.
Able to running like a clock. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then in some ways, like when I started getting into ancient civilizations and conspiracy theories and what have you not, geography, history,
Right.
especially when I dived very heavily into the origins of Palestine, Israel, and the Middle East and stuff like that, you find out that things like the flood was something that was very, very, very possible. There are signs of great floods all throughout, especially.
They even have a term for it, antediluvian. Yep.
Yeah, and then once I got into ancient story or ancient sociology in civilizations, you have to understand cataclysmic events, what would end a culture, what would begin a culture, climate, and so forth. You have to get into that a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And wow, when you discover this stuff and you start looking at the Bible again, you're like, and then of course, as someone that's into history, you look at Sumerian, Babylonian, and everything beforehand.
And the archaeology lines up with it.
Yeah, all these stories. And just because this says it here, and this says it here, and this says it here, doesn't necessarily mean that they're lying here. No, they're telling the same story everyone else did, but it's within this belief structure.
Mm-hmm.
So it's worded slightly different. Like the 2x2, right, of the animals, right?
Mm-hmm.
That drove me crazy as a younger me, right? The science fiction nerd, the angsty punk rock tattoos, getting into fights, going into bars, all that crap, right?
Right.
It drove me crazy. I hated it. The adult in me goes like, now thinking about it logically instead of emotionally, which science fiction. I should have thought things logically. 2x2 of every animal that's within their world, which is, well, whatever part of the Middle East they were in at that time. So goats, mountain lions, birds, and stuff like that. So the ark didn't need to be a whole continent size. It only needed to be so big to house so many.
Right.
So it makes a lot more sense because when you're perceived of the world is only your perception of the world. You only know it to be so big. So when you're telling the story of the world flooded and you grab two animals from the world, talking about your world, not Africa, not Asia, not over in the Americas. So I'm like, okay, you know what? The story still works.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Check out Kentucky. There's a museum that is made. It's an ark, but it's the same size as the ark in the Bible. And if you see that thing, it's massive. It's like three football fields long and about 6 stories high.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it would have taken a guy 100 years to build that thing, but it's massive. And when you look at that, you're like, okay, I could see it. Okay, I could see it.
As an aside, appropriate of nothing, I was watching a video today of this Italian stonemason. He's 23 years old, and he's considered the greatest stonemason in Italy right now. And he goes all over Europe and he repairs cathedrals. Because I watched what they did to St. Augustine's Cathedral in England, and I am thoroughly disgusted. England, we need to conquer you and colonize England and save England.
We do need to colonize it.
We're going to have to invade England in about 100 years to get it back.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be that long. I think England's
so the next video that came on was about a guy and this guy was chiseling. No lasers. He was using pencils. He's using the same tools that his grandfather, and he made perfectly smooth stones.
Yeah.
So that's how they built the pyramids. I don't want to hear about space aliens. You people that think you need space because you don't understand it means space aliens.
Well, you know how Michelangelo
space aliens.
Well, you know how Michelangelo made
said I wanted to be space aliens.
Yeah, I wanted to be space aliens. I like comic books. It would be a lot more fun. Yes.
Well, and that would make any aliens that show up in the future less scary because they've already visited us. We survived.
There you go.
Now, if you visit the future and this is the first time, we might not survive.
Well, there was an alien culture that visited the Earth. It was called angels.
What were you going to say about Michelangelo? You got interrupted.
Michelangelo famously was asked how he carved David, and he's like, well, I carved away everything that didn't look like David.
Right. And that's impressive for a turtle.
There you go.
I got to remind
the other Michelangelo. The other.
I got to remind everybody that we're nerds here every once in a while.
Yeah, there you go. Every once in a while.
As if all this stuff
I did have pizza earlier, so there you go. Anyway.
But I think the gist of this to bring us back to the topic at hand, I think the gist, Zachtan hit the nail on the head, kind of took the wind out of my sails, that just constantly inundating with us. I think human beings have an innate reaction to bullshit.
Yeah.
Like I think we all have a spidey sense. Sooner or later, the bullshit detector goes off. We may not know why, but how many times do you go like, I don't know, my gut is telling me this ain't right. And I think a lot of people were uneasy. And then finally people just like, I can't enjoy football anymore. I got this woman who doesn't know anything about, and it's not women. It's the particular type of woman that comes in and starts preaching politics. And then I remember when I was a school teacher.
But this doesn't know the difference between Barry Sanders and Shadur Sanders.
Right. And then I don't know the difference either, but I'm not a football announcer.
Trust me, that's egregious. Trust me.
Like,
it's very egregious.
I remember in 2000 when I was working in the public school systems, they started doing the Black National Anthem. And I literally said to the principal, why do we? He goes, the national anthem is the Black National Anthem. And so I literally wrote the white national anthem, and I said, I demand that this be sung. I just like Frodo Baggins, I was officially labeled a disturber of the peace.
Oh,
or Gandalf. But like it's people after a while, like when I said that, because I said that in front of a whole bunch of people. This was a parent teachers a teachers conference. Those days kids didn't go to school.
Right.
A couple of the other teachers, even black teachers, they were just like, I can't believe you said that. And I agree with you. This is division. Like, do we have a Hispanic national anthem? Like,
we did have a gay national anthem though.
Yeah, I heard it.
Raining Men.
I heard
Raining Men.
It's Raining Men is the gay national anthem.
Oh, come on. Not one laugh for my joke. You said we had a gay national anthem. I said, yeah, I heard it sucked. Come on, not one laugh.
Oh. Sorry. I already took goodnight medicine, if you know what I mean.
It's
a little slow on the uptake.
Written by Paul Schaefer, by the way. How's that?
Yeah.
So,
sung by the great Martha Wash.
I think
you know who she is. You just don't know. You do.
No. I think people literally after years of being force-fed crap. Sooner or later, they all just said, "This, what is going on?" And I started noticing, I'd go to work. All the guys I work with, they got families. They're regular guys. They're working on their cars. They play golf. They play football. None of them are comic book people. All of a sudden, they started being like, "That's woke."
Mm-hmm.
And the first time I heard that outside of this normie, because 2015, maybe 2016, I started using that term, and then it was like, what, Obama years, and now Trump uses it. Now everybody knows what it means. Like it's almost like a magic power. Like Adam and Eve were given the power to name the animals, and that gave them dominion over the earth.
Yeah.
Once something is named, it loses its power. Like when I can talk to my family and say woke, they know exactly what I'm talking about. And then you could, it has a definition, it has an explanation. It loses some of its power.
Mm-hmm.
As hippy dippy and as trippy as that sounds,
no, actually, there's a metaphysical truth to that. That once you name something, you basically encapsulate it, and it does lose its power.
Right. Yeah.
And it basically distillates it down to a concept that everybody can conceive of. And if it's a bad thing, it loses power. If it's a good thing, it gains power.
In the phobes they call us. None of that matters. Nobody cares. Mm-hmm. Right? Nobody, when you go like, "You're a Nazi, you're a racist," you're like, "No, what? No." Now it's just like, fuck off.
I'll never forget when I was in school. One of the parents told me, "You're a racist." I went, "Yeah, and?"
Yeah.
I was like,
well, I told somebody the other day, I was like, you know what? You know, I'm a horrible racist. You know why I'm a horrible racist? Because I think all racists can achieve without a white Karen running the interference for them. I say that's why I'm so racist, because I think that they can, that if they have the talent, that they can succeed at anything that they want to try, and they don't need me.
How often have you heard about these annoying women since we named them Karens? We named them, we defined them. We took that. That's very interesting. That's going to be something that I'm thinking. But so many phenomenons had so much power, and now we named them. It lessened their power. That is really interesting.
Yeah, it's a metaphysical. It's a biblical concept, actually. Right. That once you name a thing, you basically distillate it to where if it's a good thing, people can see that, and if it's a bad thing, people can see that. Once it's named and defined, that's why they try to destroy every definition. That's why they don't want you to know what a man or a woman is. If they can destroy the definition and just say I'm non-binary, what the hell's non-binary? Yeah. Nobody knows.
There's no such thing as non-binary. Sorry,
exactly.
Previous guest who's I'm good friends with. I'm sorry, but there's no such thing as non-binary.
No, exactly. It's like the other day. I can't remember. I think it was Tom Hawley. No, I can't remember. It's one of the really good senators. He was asking this guy. He's like, "Well, right here in this report on racism, you said that you have to have room for two-spirit. What the hell is two-spirit?"
I saw that.
Josh Hawley said this.
Yeah,
what the hell?
You're two-faced.
Yeah, exactly. And that guy couldn't tell him what two-spirit is. This is in your report. You put this in your damn report. Right. People made policy based on this report, and you're telling me that you have something in here that you can't even define, and you can't even tell me what it is.
Yep.
But that's what they did. Is as long as if you name something and you define it. And once you define it, people can make a value judgment or whether it's good or not. And that's the power of leftism, is they took all the definitions. And so it's like, well, you can't say this is good or bad because you don't know what it is.
Right. And it's one of the things I've been arguing about we can identify whatever we want. Why do you like I'm not calling somebody they them.
Exactly.
I think a very
language is to confer information, not obfuscate.
Yeah,
right.
Information.
But I think a good way for people that go, "What is a woman?"
Mm-hmm.
Quite simple. A female human born with the capability of reproducing with a male,
Yeah.
Whether they are functioning or not, they are born for the capability of passing a child. That is a female. That is a woman.
Well, what's
If
that?
you weren't born that way,
movie with Matt Walsh? He went
Yeah.
to a woman's march and he said, "What is a woman?" And they wouldn't define it for him. He's like, "You're marching in this woman's march. Do you not know what you're marching for?"
they are married to the ideology, not the
Exactly. Exactly. They can't tell you because they don't even know.
Well,
Whether they
do.
know or they don't want to know.
They know. They don't want to
They don't
admit.
want to know. Yeah.
How many of these feminist women now are just like they meet a masculine man who opens the door for them, and all of a sudden, you know, they revert back to Little House on the Prairie, and they want to start churning.
Can you help my child? You know, I mean, well, I mean,
I heard a good argument. This one woman was like, "Why do you care about body count? Why do you care about body count?" And he said, "Well, we all care. We all care, and we all know why." I said, "But we can't articulate it." He says, "Because we're all." I said, "She goes, yeah, a woman with a high body count is bad, but a man with a high body count is good." She goes, "Well, a man with a high body count is not that good, but that for a man to have a high body count, everybody knows what I'm talking about. Having sex with a lot of different ladies."
Whoop.
Your mic's going in now, John.
Mine?
Yeah, it might be yours, I think.
No.
There you go. That's better.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, at least we recognize that for a man, they have to have skill. They got to be good looking. But basically, boils down to is a man has to work. A woman, I don't care how repulsive this woman is, she's gonna impute sexual partner. So basically saying a man who has a high body count is a high value man because they got something. They got looks, they got money, they got something that is of high value. Whereas a woman to have a high body count has to have a hole and not put up a fight and not be choosy. Like there's no effort into it. So we don't value a woman who's not choosy. Choose to not value herself. You know, but a man. I'm going to kick myself and come back and see if it is me.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, he went into Echoville a little bit.
Yeah. I'm still here.
Okay, it's Arkham. Yeah, it's you, Arkham.
Yeah, it's you, dude.
What is it doing?
It's a feedback. So, you got like earbuds or something?
Yeah. Hold on.
Do you have YouTube open?
No.
Kick yourself off and come back. See.
Well, if he has earbuds will work or earphones.
Okay. I didn't think it was me. All of a sudden, it would be. But anyway, that also has nothing to do with the topic at hand. But it's just something I wanted to go.
In a way, it does. It's because the reason why there's a shift back to theology is because the thing that Christianity does better than anything else is it defines the world. It tells you right from wrong. It gives you morality. It gives you concepts. It gives you like the basis of the family. It tells you how to build a family. It tells you how to stay healthy in a marriage. It tells you how to raise your kids. I mean, it's the Bible for, if you want to dispute its origins or whatever, you cannot dispute one thing, and that we built the society on these concepts that came out of that book. And healthy societies, growing societies, thriving societies. And because Christianity helps define these things, these people that are awash in this leftism that won't let them define anything, and suddenly Christianity is like, oh, I know what that is. Let me tell you what that is. And they're like, thank you. The power of Charlie Kirk was that he would sit down in these and go into these places where nothing is defined, nothing is clear. And he would sit there and make declarative statements. I know what that is. This is what that is. Look it up. Look for yourself. And when they go to their professor and their professor's like vagueness, intellectual construct after intellectual construct, but nothing definitive.
Right. 2 plus 2 could equal 5 under some.
It could equal 5. You're right. But the thing about it is, try to build a house with that concept.
Right.
Try to build a house without a ruler or any way to measure.
Well,
unless you're Amish, you can't do that. Okay?
When I was in college, I was teaching at a preschool, for credits to become a teacher. And when I started out, I was the cool guy, and I let the kids do whatever they wanted. And I realized really quick, I'm talking within 2 weeks, that kids need structure. So I would literally and it was funny because the co-teacher was this older woman, Kathy. I loved her to death. Oh my God, Kathy, I got to reach out and get you back in my life. I love this woman, such a great woman, but she let me do it.
Right.
Because she wanted me to learn on my own. And then she's like, okay, you're ready to be a teacher now instead of the kid's friend. And we started implementing rules, nap time, cleanup time, and the class thrived. They were a bunch of barbarians. I had a classroom full of barbarians. And then we had a classroom full of, oh my God, little artists, little philosophers. Oh my, it was so much fun. And I started, and then I have a friend, I haven't seen him in years. And he used to say, oh, my kids go to bed when they're tired. And then I have another friend that's just, he's like his scary dad. Go to bed. The kids run off. Right. Guess which kids became drug addicts and problem kids and crying all the time. And guess which kids like working on Wall Street, they could buy and sell all 3 of us. You know what I mean? The kids were raised in a strict environment.
Well, with structure though.
That's what I was getting to. This past 40 years has been an experiment in secular humanism, and look where it's gotten us. People are getting lit on fire in the subways. Every girl is on OnlyFans. Suicidal empathy is another term that entered into my lexicon. Like we're letting this guy out of jail 47 times, and then he goes and stabs a woman in the neck, fleeing war. And now
14. That was 14, but there was one. There was one yesterday that killed a woman after 47 times.
Yeah, I knew that number was in my head.
I was in Indianapolis.
All I could think of is they're letting these people out to kill more white people. I mean, I hate to go there.
Yeah.
But do you think he would have gotten out of jail if he killed black people?
No.
Or if it was vice versa.
What's that?
I said, or if it was vice versa.
Right. Yeah. I'm really starting to think. I'm praying Trump, and I'm not a praying man. Please use this shutdown to impeach all of these freaking judges.
Yeah.
Because we ain't gonna go nowhere until we and black people, please convict your own problems. Stop.
I think a lot of black guys seem to be stepping away from inner city culture. They're like, you know what, you guys, you're doing too much.
Yeah.
You are not the same as we are. You're
acted white. You're acted white.
Yeah, it's like no, he's acting like a human being that has manners and is respectful. I mean, if that's to be white, so be it. But no, it's just a person being a good person.
Because you're gonna prompt a racial reaction that you're not gonna like.
Well, the issue that I think that really kind of broke all this down is the fact that Obama is basically a Rubicon, okay? Because up to Obama, they could always say, well, we never had a president, so there was all that one thing that we couldn't have. But then they got that, and then the left is like, oh crap, we're going to lose racism. Racism is our main thing. Racism is our main grift. We've got, and so suddenly any negative thing said about Obama was an example of racism.
Right.
And the guy was
it was the Kamala Khan defense. Oh, you don't like her because she's a Muslim girl and she's a dark.
And he was a horrible president in every conceivable way. But that's one of the things that really destroyed the media was running interference for that guy.
Well, no, I think the first term he played good guy. He played good cop first term, but he was setting up everything during the first term, right?
Yeah.
He was setting up all the pawn pieces, putting everything into position. Second term, he put everything into motion.
Yeah.
And that's when everybody saw, well, Pandora's box open. We're like, oh, this guy is fucking, sorry, language. This guy is disgusting and what he's doing. I mean, the deporter in chief.
Yeah.
I mean, Obama, everyone talks about Trump. Yeah, Trump's so warlike. I'm like,
they gave him a peace prize.
Right.
11 days in office.
I think it was 90, but still, days. I mean, it's still, that's no time.
Right. What did he do?
No.
And did you hear what the Nobel Peace Prize, what happened today?
Yeah, she did. Yeah. She dedicated it to Trump.
I'm like, karma is checking a lot of boxes today.
It is. It really is.
Yeah, I think we like. I guess I'm a bad person because part of me is rooting for this communist guy to become the new mayor of New York, because, like, we all have that alcoholic friend
just got to hit rock bottom.
right. You jump right ahead. New York has got to hit rock bottom, like But the thing is, it hasn't. But the thing is, I work in New York. Like, I really don't want to take the subway and have to submit to razor blades to my throat because I'm a white person and we're not allowed to defend ourselves.
Yeah.
So
well, the guy right before Giuliani was actually
in New York. The choice is the commie or the mass murderer. Nobody's going to vote for the street fighting defender, Curtis Sliwa, who I've actually been in a bar with. He's a cool guy. To me, he's not the best because I think he kind of has like a thuggy attitude, but I'd rather him than the mass murderer, Como, or the commie. And this guy is such an obvious plant. Like, he's only been in America for 8 years. He was born in Uganda. His father's a rich guy. He's just, oh my God! Like, if we were to cut him, I bet you he's just made out of solid plastic. Like, he was just formed in a laboratory. He's not,
Yeah, what's with these nepo babies claiming street thugness? I mean, all of them are rich. Every single one of them are rich,
right?
But the thing about it is, though, I think this country is turning. They basically want the life that America was having with the Greatest Generation, where people were able to stay home with the kids and able to afford houses and build equity for the future. And the only way back to that is to go back to the thing that made everything stable enough for that, and that was Christianity.
Well, and here's something else I want to bring up that's ironic. Similar to it is on the similar thing that you were saying, but just in a slightly different perspective.
Okay.
Because we're looking at New York, we're looking at our times, right, and how bad times were, and when we're talking about what's worse, being the country be more on the left like it has been, or being more on the right. Think about it when it was most on the right. We're talking about the 80s.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
The music.
I was about to say, we had all of these left-wing punk rock bands, and they were awesome.
Yeah, and you know what?
And the movies were awesome. The comics were awesome.
Yeah, and it's, guess what? And they didn't, there were a-holes that try to snuff creativity, of course, but most of the time we fought back and we won.
Well, right? Who were the biggest bogeyman to the rock stars and to the punk rock?
PMRC.
PMRC. Who founded the PMRC?
Democrat senator wives.
Tipper Gore, Al Gore.
Yeah.
The PMRC was a Democrat creation. I went to go see Jello Biafra, the singer of the Dead Kennedys. I went to go see him doing a stand-up, and he had a shoe that he would go around, put money in this to help kill Al Gore. And now, and then a couple years later, he's dancing to Fleetwood Mac up on stage, and all the Democrats. I'm like, are you guys listening to yourselves? Like, I'd love to sit down and talk to Jello Biafra. Like, are you?
They sold out. All of them sold out. Every single one of them.
Well, a lot of them, I think, are afraid of the fans, right? Because the punk rock scene was completely taken over by communists.
Yep.
And you know how they are. If you're going to be in the scene, you have to shut up, or if you're not going to be in the scene.
Every subgenre from comic skate to punk rock was let's all conform together, and if you don't conform, you're exiled.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And punk rock was all about individuality before.
Supposedly.
Right. Well, when I was in punk rock, I mean, I was what was called, it's a generic term, but it's called gothabilly. It's a subculture of psychobilly, which is subculture rockabilly. Right. I don't care where I went, whether it was like a skinhead show, if it was an oi show, if it was a gutter punk show. I went as a psychobilly or gothabilly, and everyone is drinking,
I used to say there was a bar, I don't know if it's still there, called the Pyramid Club. Mm-hmm. And it was the most bizarre place in the world. It was just a pink triangle. And then it had the lines to make it look like I don't know. I know I'm going to get clipped and made fun of, but it was all, we used to call them drag queens back then. I don't know if we're even allowed to say it, but they had punk shows. So you'd go to this place and there was drag queens with like 3-day beards. Like they didn't even try. I don't know what the aesthetic was. And then you had punk shows.
Those are drag queens.
Right. You had the big
Mohawks.
Guys. You had the rockabilly guys. You had skinhead punks, and we were all hanging out in the bars together, just listening to the music. You know what I mean? Like I'm over here, I got this big freaking skinhead guy, literally with not like iron crosses, not so much as swastikas tattooed on his head, and over here's a drag queen, drinking, smoking a cigar, listening to bands. There was no fights.
And here's the thing: is that really kind of pissed me off.
What you used to go there? Cool.
As an artist or somebody that was into the subculture during the time, pardon, but I'm going to get a little deep in the woods with this. There was, of course, you have your trannies, right? And then you have your transsexuals, your transvestite, two different people. You had your drag queens, nothing to do with either one of those.
No.
Right. And then you just had your, of course, the fetishists. Right, which was mingle between all of them, but they're all different people, different needs, different wants. Right, drag queens were performers. They lived as it was a different personality that they lived through. Right.
Yeah.
The other one's just like wearing women's clothes, while the later wanted to become a woman. Right. Mm-hmm. So now they're just
topic is way off topic.
Right, but now they're all just one thing. They're
yeah.
Right.
Well, that's the product of diversity.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You go to Paris now. You go to London now. You go to New York City now.
All the same.
You used to be able to go to Ireland, and you'd see cute redheads, drinking beer and talking with that accent. Now you go to Ireland, you see Somalians. You go to Minnesota, you see Somalians. You go to New York, there's people praying in the street to Allah. You go to Toronto, they shut down the street playing. It's diversity. Ironically, is the opposite of diversity. Diversity is when you could go to Brussels and you do that stupid slap dance that Benny Hill was always doing. You know what I mean? Like you go to England and you get really bad food by a guy with rotten teeth. Here's you go to France and you don't want to bring your wife because some guy's
done intentionally.
Right,
it's done intentionally because it's literally killing each of those countries' cultures. Guess what? Each one of those countries are.
Well, Cooper will appreciate this. It's the Assyrian Empire. It's the diaspora, that's what Assyria did. They broke up Israel and they scattered the Jews all over. I'm going to mix up but they put the Jews over here next to the Hittites, next to the Babylonians, next to the whatever, the small, and they purposely set them against each other so that nobody could unify, so that the cultures would have everybody fighting, and Assyria was the power. That's what they're doing right now. That's what the UAF is doing. I noticed Nigeria is not suffering from a lack of diversity. India is not suffering from a lack of diversity. But and I used to think it was white people, but I'm convinced it's getting rid of this Western concept of individual rights and freedom. Yeah. That's what's under attack. It just so happens that is a product of white Western philosophy and government and
primarily Christian.
And Christian, yes. And that's why Christianity, because all of these feminists, if they were to go to Syria right now, where you literally, you look like Scott Summers in the X-Men. You know what I mean? That's,
You show too much eyebrow. You're going to get stoned.
Right.
Watch out. Be careful.
Yeah, there's a movie called The Stoning of. Oh my God. But it was a mockumentary film talking about a lady that was stoned, and if you ever want to go pro these guys, you might want to watch. You might want to do some research.
Well, I think what's happening though is the reassertion of what created the original core of America to start with, and basically the realignment back with our governmental philosophies and priorities that created the matrix that became America. And I think what's happened is this attempt to change what that is has ultimately brought us to the place where, the cities are decaying, overrun by immigrants coming over the border, and the prices are skyrocketing, the dollar is tanking, and an American experiment is on the brink of failure.
There's a lot of good pushback, though. Thank God.
Exactly.
They're using our goodness against us.
Our generosity. Yes.
Right.
Generosity, yeah.
White Geek Stu says, my stepfather is a big Democrat, but old school. Guess what? He's a Christian. Well, you know what's funny about that is look at our executive branch right now. Trump, former Democrat.
Yep.
RFK, former Democrat. Elon Musk, former Democrat. Tulsi Gabbard, former Democrat. These people were Democrats 9 years ago, 10 years ago. And now they're considered far-right Republicans. Extreme.
Yeah. Well, that's because they got off the farm.
Well, they didn't move. The left just went crazy.
Yeah.
The left just put on a dress and ran at top speed into Crazy Town, and they just stayed right here. But
the thing about it, the thing about it is though is what I think is most encouraging for me is with the reassertion of Christianity as like the primary driver. What's going to happen is the trickle down effect. Is the left is always only operated at its best as a counterculture.
Yes.
Okay, they cannot be in control of anything.
Right, they don't have they don't have the discipline. They don't have the emotional control, and they do not have the whole core. If you scratch away everything that is a leftist, the seed gerb is, I do what I want.
Yeah.
Don't tell me what I want. Don't tell me what to do. I do what I want, and I
do as thou wilt. Yeah.
Right. Do as thou wilt. If you want to get demonic about it, but it's my emotions, my valued experience, my life experience. It's not restraint. And it's funny because Nurkish, of all people, I don't know if you guys know Nurkish. Nurkish was big at Comicsgate for a while. I thought he was hysterical. He had an awakening, and I really like his Twitter. I've been trying to get him to come on my channel, but whatever. But one of the things he said was somebody's like, oh, yeah, all you Christians, you just buy into this book, and it tells you what you want to hear anyway. It's easy. And Nurkish, of all people, goes, oh, yeah, don't sleep around. Save your money. Restrain yourself. Yeah. Do the right thing. When somebody hits you, don't fight back. That's exactly what I want. He goes, have you read the Bible? And I was like, go right. The whole point, and this is the failure, because the right, I believe this, fundamentally understands the left.
Yeah.
I can have conversations with my but they don't understand me. When I say I'm against abortion, they go right to Handmaid's Tale. No, they don't understand that it's a respect to individual life.
Well, there's a story that's come out. You need to go and watch this. But since Charlie Kirk is the man of the hour, this is a perfect demonstration of this. Okay. The seat of the most arrogant leftist philosophy on the planet, that the most intellectual, the most elitist, is all at Oxford, right? Would you agree with that? Oxford University is kind of like the pinnacle of that arrogant uppity leftist philosophy.
Oxford, Brown, yeah.
Yeah. Well, Oxford basically set a trap for Charlie Kirk. They had told him they want him to come and give a presentation. But what they really did was it was 10 months out when they told him this, and they spent 10 months honing their skills to debate him. And so they got the best debaters that they could find, and they honed their skills, and they were ready for him with their knives out. He shows up thinking he's going to give a presentation, and suddenly he realizes that he's got a line around the block to debate him openly with no topic or no idea what the topic's going to be.
It was an ambush.
Right.
And he wiped the fucking floor with them.
Yep.
Pardon my
He usually
French.
does in almost everything he's in.
It wasn't even close. I mean, he just torched the place, and he actually, to the extent that there were several people that actually apologized to him that they even participated in that, because he just, the thing about it is if you know what you believe, if you have,
well, if you know facts,
if you know facts, if you know what you
argue
believe.
right,
You can walk into any room and you're fine, because reality is reality.
Yep.
And truth is truth. It doesn't change. It doesn't shift. It doesn't go anywhere. That's what people love so much about the Christian worldview, is because they know what to expect. They know what the rules are. They know what the laws are. They know where the boundaries are.
Unfortunately, though, I live in a state where there's churches that completely contradict that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I know.
Rainbows all over them.
Yep.
And I'm like, I'm all for accepting everyone. You should be welcome, right? But you should not put the rainbow on your church, right? That is sacrilegious, in my opinion, right?
Yep.
But yeah, if you're in a church, I have no problem seeing gay or trans people in a church if they're come to hear the word.
I don't either. I don't.
Right. It's just like good for them. They
Right,
should hear the word.
because we have thieves and in church too. That's where you should be. You know, I wanted to finish my thought. Like, the right understands the left.
Yeah.
But the left doesn't understand the right at all.
No.
And to encapsulate it, the left is my feelings. Okay.
Mhm.
The right is, and they always say, but the right is consequences. To me, those are the two, feelings versus consequences. Like, we don't want there to be abortion, but what we want is, and women are the gatekeepers of sex, ladies and gentlemen. You know, we want women to understand that when you have sex, one of the consequences is you may get pregnant, whether you're using protection or not. You must accept those consequences. You know, you need all the education beforehand, because I do believe that there is some stupid 16-year-old girl who doesn't understand, you know,
Right.
and that's a fault of the education system on purpose.
Yeah.
So, and you're going to have kids. Now, also, I don't want that. Oh, now you want to have 12 kids to starve to death. No, I want this girl to understand that she needs to get a quality guy. She's going to get married to this guy, and this guy's going to provide to her kid, because I don't want there to be a welfare state. I don't want to reward bad behavior. I want there to be logical consequences, and that's freedom, because every dollar you're taking from me, like, I'll never forget. I was working for I'm an electrician, and Con Ed called everybody, and we had to repair all the power lines after a storm. I was working 18-hour days at double time. Whoa. That was some nice money. They put us up in hotels. They gave us food, but it's not like we were sitting in a truck. We were working, getting up in the things, suiting up like Breaking Bad, repairing live high voltage power lines. Cause you know what I mean? Oh my God. It was like, every time you did it, you know, the guy up in the bucket was scary. The guy at the bottom was like, am I going to watch my buddy burst into flames? You know what I mean? So we took turns. Oh man, it was nerve wracking. 18 hours a day for 3 weeks. Guess how much I got paid on my first paycheck? Guess my gross, and then guess what I took home?
No idea.
My first paychecks, it was 7 days a week. 18 hours a day, double time. I got paid $15,000 for 7 days of work. Guess how much I took home? $4,500.
What?
Because I claim single zero. I'd rather they take more tax out and I get money back at the end of the year. So,
but still, that's ouch.
And then my cousin says to me, "Oh, you should be so glad that you're actually paying your tax." I go, "You live with my uncle, who's a conservative 1%. And you have." I said, "How much came out of your taxes last week?" I said, "I know the answer. The error is zero because you haven't worked in 15 years." I said, "You don't get to enter." I said, "You want me to be a slave?" I said, "Because what is the difference?" And then 2 weeks ago, I'm freaking 57 years old. I'm going to be 58 in 2 months. I'm crawling through ducts like John McClane. Freaking screws are cutting into me, ripping my pants. I'm bleeding because I got to wire up the little modules inside these ducts, because if the smoke gets into them, they got to shut down so that the smoke doesn't blow in and kill everybody. You know what I mean? That's what I'm doing. And I'm thinking, as I'm bleeding, putting on Band-Aids at the end of every shift, wow, 65% of my money is taken away from me. Like, I'm 65% a slave. You know what I mean? And like, who was standing next to me? Was Obama crawling through this duct? Was this kid who got mad at me? We all know who I'm talking about, who got mad when I said that you shouldn't be able to buy candy and soda on SNAP funds. Was he next to me? Crawling through no. So shut up. And I think between the taxes, the price is going up, you can't work, and then that's what makes you a concern. Like that meme, your kid gets his first paycheck, he's like, "Where'd all the money go? Welcome to the Republican Party."
Welcome to the Republican Party.
Yeah.
I'm actually thinking about moving to Texas. No, I'm dead serious.
Yeah, but make sure.
I know you are.
Right. Well, it's I'll never forget that. Wow, a $15,000, $4,000. What the? Why did I do this? What did I do? I set up all the electricity in Queens for everybody. For what, $11,000 was taken out of my paycheck, stolen. Because I wouldn't have done it if I'd known that they were going to take that. I knew that I was going to get a high tax. I was like, oh my God. So I paid $33,000 in taxes in 3 weeks. You're welcome, liberals.
Is it the same in your state that they dictate what you can and cannot have on your insurance? Because in my state, they're like, you have to have it at this level, this level, this level, and this level. And I'm like, that's insane.
I guess they don't, because I don't know what you're talking about.
Like you know how you have your coverage for yourself, cover for your car, cover for the other car, cover for the other drivers, umbrella, and all this other stuff. Their minimums are like almost the maximums. So instead of me being able to like get bare minimum because I own my car, I'm paying for like when you lease a new car, you know how you have to get the best insurance? That's what I have to pay in my state. Yeah, because the state demands it.
Yeah. If you lease the car, I got to get full cover. Well, Zach's got a great point. The left still controls a lot of media, so conservatives are exposed. Right, we are exposed to the left, so we understand the way they and you go to a concert, you hear Bruce Springsteen, like you just want to hear "Born to Run," and now Bruce Springsteen's telling you about like whatever left the car, and you get sick of it. So we understand the left, but
well, you know who's the most influential Republican in media right now, right? You know that is
who?
Scott Jennings.
Oh yeah.
Because he's on CNN, he's like the lone conservative voice, and he torches that whole entire panel every single day.
Did you see Greg Grubfield just rip into that one leftist co-host like 2 weeks ago? I mean,
it
was the first time I ever seen her go for the juggler. Yeah, and he went for the juggler, and she was just like, "Oh crap."
Well, she dared to basically insinuate that Charlie Kirk deserved it, and Greg Gutfield tore her a new butthole on live television, and I was cheering him the whole way. That guy ain't no joke. He is.
Oh, Greg will rip you a new one. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think 100 years from now, if America still exists and we are still allowed to actually study history, one of the things that we're going to be talking about as a historical watershed was Elon Musk buying Twitter.
Yep.
I 100% believe that was the fact that I don't want to get
Elon Musk and Charlie Kirk's martyrdom.
Yes.
It's going to be the two big.
Oh no, especially to that one idiot that said his death will never amount to nothing. I'm like, lady, you have never been so wrong in your life.
Oh no.
But Trump buying Twitter, because Twitter was basically the big brother, you know, and now you're allowed to. There's still problems with it, but it's free. And I mean, look at like all these countries now going to ban it, and now Trump, you know, he used Twitter. Like the whole Mexican sombrero thing is just brilliant.
It's brilliant.
I'm just kind of pissed off that they sold TikTok off. We should have had it. It should have stayed in our hands.
Right.
Take it from China. Do not give it to Israel. Do not give it to anyone in Europe. Destroy it or keep it. Right.
No, they shouldn't destroy it because then something else uncontrolled will show up. We should have sold it to an American firm.
Yes. That one doesn't bother me as much as when things that you know were invented and done here get sold off. Like eventually when D&D gets sold off, it will be sold off eventually, right? Hasbro's going to go away in a couple of years. It's writings on the wall. I'm just afraid these 10 cents and all these other companies are coming to snap up our Americana. I'm like, no, there should be laws about things that are Americana being sold to foreigners. It should not just be allowed.
I agree to that.
Superman, Mickey Mouse. Obviously Mickey Mouse is international, but
they're going to be public domain. So I mean, but like Sherlock Holmes is British. I don't think they need any governing agency to control Sherlock. Like, I don't want to watch the Asian woman version of Sherlock Holmes, so I just don't watch it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, but
no, I meant get the copyright for specifically. I don't mind. Like Turkish Star Wars is one of the most hilarious things if you ever seen it. Right? I was like, good for you. I'm glad you made that.
I hadn't seen it.
It's so horrible. It's great. I mean, it's so.
Italian Spider-Man is the greatest.
Yeah, it's just like that.
Italian Spider-Man is the greatest piece of movie cinema ever created. It's the pinnacle of human civilization.
There you go.
Japanese Spider-Man is like it's secretly Frank Castle underneath there, a Japanese Frank Castle. Because that Spider-Man kills people.
So I think Cooper, I'm going to say something and I want you to correct me because I'm probably going to say the wrong name. Is this Pascal's Wager?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, Pascal's Wager was to me I thought it was the silliest thing until maybe about 10 years ago, but now it's like the most logical argument. But Pascal's Wager is, okay, so you don't believe in God, you don't believe in Jesus and everything like that, but so you live your life as if there was God and there was Jesus. And then you die and you find out you were right. There was no God, there was no Jesus, but you still lived a good life and you still helped people. Okay, now, other thing, you live your life as a good person, and then there is God, there is Jesus, and you go to heaven. Because now, look at the other. You live life horrible, and you have a horrible life, and you're miserable, and you fight, and then you die, and there is a God, you go to hell. Or you live a horrible life, and there is no God, and you just lived a horrible life. He goes, Pascal's Wager it's just better to live as if. And I thought that was the silliest thing. And even like towards the end of my laissez-faire atheistic, when I started seeing how bad the secular humanism was getting, I was like, I would rather live as if I believed in Christianity. And to the point now, it's evolved to the point where I still don't know what I believe. I'm being totally honest. I still don't know where I am. But I would rather live in a Christian right-wing nation. And a real right-wing nation, not the leftist imagination of right-wing where it's, because Nazism is collectivism, so therefore it's left-wing. But
they're literally socialists. So.
Right.
It's in the name.
Yeah.
Everybody's got a house. Dad goes to work. He's got the pipe. Mom's got the belly, and she's waving as the kids are making macaroni sculptures. And the
nuclear family.
What is wrong with that? That is awesome. And I don't care if my next door neighbor's Indian, as long as he has the same core values of Americanism.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
somewhere along the way, the melting pot became diversity, and they're not the same thing.
No.
a melting pot.
You become part of the gumbo.
Right. We it's alchemy. We all become this fused.
Well, I think we can just sum it up this way. If the left gets their way, they win. But if the right gets their way, everybody wins.
True.
And I think that's pretty much where we're at.
Right.
And they can resent it and they can like complain about it all they want. But you look at Washington D.C. right now. Washington D.C. you can walk down the street and not get mugged.
Right.
And they can complain about it and gripe about it. But
perfect example. San Diego Comic-Con, right?
Mm-hmm.
I went many years consecutively. You literally saw the slow degradation of downtown San Diego build up cumulatively over year.
Mm-hmm.
I used to walk downtown all the time going to Comic-Con, go, Gaslight District, walk up and down there, go to the House of Blues, do whatever I want to do, right? But last year I went, I was literally stepping over bodies. Like there was literally drug dens in the middle of the friggin' street on my way to the House of Blues. And it's only maybe 8 blocks from the convention center in San Diego. I was like, it was like within 3 years, right? You saw it. Oh, this is getting bad. It's like, holy crap, what the hell happened here?
Mm-hmm.
All consecutively. Thankfully, the outside areas for San Diego Comic-Con are still heavily policed. So a lot of the dredge doesn't come in because there's a lot of outside events at San Diego Comic-Con. A lot. And that's always bothered me that it's so accessible to any crazy that wants to walk up and mess with people,
Yeah.
So I think, to sum up everything, this is my explanation of why I do think Christianity is on the right. Because earlier I was talking about how we have innate bullshit detectors.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we reached peak bullshit that people can't. I remember.
You hit the nail on the head.
I remember when we went. I went to a chiropractor, and the chiropractor was talking about George Soros. This was over a decade ago, and I thought I was the only person who knew this person, And he's like, "Yeah, George Soros, one of these people who back Obama," and I was like, "Is it happening? Or people?" Because I remember it was just whenever, first off, this person didn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was this, now you're just anti-Semite. And now it's just yeah, George Soros exists and it's a good thing, he went from a conspiracy theory cartoon monster to there he is, Hillary Clinton is hanging out with him, taking pictures of him. So,
but is he Jewish?
I don't even know.
I'm like, he came from, he's in Argentina. He has a very German history. So
well, he was a Hitler Youth.
He was a Hitler Youth, yeah.
Yeah, so he is trying to destroy America. He's still pissed off we kicked their ass.
And but my point being is everybody now is I would say to people, they're lying to us. Now it's everybody and their brothers, they're lying to us. They're preaching to us. They're telling us that men can be women and women can be men. And they got your grandmother to be
yeah,
something ain't right. That compiled with Elon Musk buying Twitter, I think the fact that the bullshit hit its peak and then people were allowed to talk. And there became another venue because right now, masses couldn't communicate. You went on the internet and there was small little free groups, but now Twitter was mainstream. People could communicate. One person could say I think transgenderism is wrong, and not get banned, attacked, whatever. And people started to realize, wow, other people think like me.
Yeah, because we're all getting banned for it earlier.
Right, you
weren't.
How
many accounts on Facebook I went through?
One of my John's Longbox account, I said the wrong thing, so now I have this stupid Centaurian 2000 account on Twitter because my John's Longbox account got destroyed. But I think people don't like being lied to. They woke up. They now could communicate, and I think people yearn for like I said, little kids. When I was teaching preschool, they want to know the boundaries. People like to test the boundaries, and I think that's what the left is good at. The left is good at testing the boundaries. So I do think that the left serves a good function.
Oh no, absolutely.
They're good at testing boundaries. They're just not good at setting them.
Right, but what happened was the left
playing with them.
The left became that troubled kid in a house without a father, and now they're putting septum noses, and the left is just because look at Chuck Schumer back in the 80s. He was saying perfectly normal, logical stuff.
I've got to go, guys. I'll talk to you later.
So, Cooper, we'll close it down now. We've been talking for 2 hours. So, Cooper, you want to say anything to shut this down?
No, just I'm praying for you, John. One of these days you'll get there. I believe you do.
Okay,
I believe you.
thank you.
I believe you'll get there.
Arkham, you want to say anything? We've been talking for 2 hours. Enough's enough. I'm going to start repeating myself.
It's all right. No, just expect me to start doing more on my YouTube. I started doing a lot more live drawings and book reviews, especially like art book reviews, for artists to say, hey, if you want to draw, check this book out. This is one of my favorite books that taught me how to do this, stuff like that.
Good luck at church tomorrow, Arkham.
Yeah, good luck at
church. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So there we go. I do think Christianity is on the rise. I think people are getting sick of being lied to, and it's a natural reaction of it's the pendulum swinging back. I just hope that we could. I hope it swings so far. I hope Trump becomes as authoritarian as the left imagines him. I want to see. I want to see Schumer and Pelosi and Hillary Clinton. I want to see them frog marched into jail. That's what I want. They
do.
I used to fantasize about having a harem. Then I used to fantasize about eating steaks and hamburgers, not gaining weight. Now I fantasize about Democrats going to jail. But we'll say goodnight,
girls.
Thank you, Cooper. Thanks, and thanks, Arkham, and thanks people for watching. Tomorrow at 10 o'clock, I'm going to do Thunder Agents #1 for Sunday Comics.
All right, night,
man. All right, bye, everybody.
Night.
Goodbye, kids.